All right, and we are live. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Deconversion Stories. Today, I'm talking with the lovely Erin Lewis, also known as Brazen Atheist. Did I say that right? Is it Lewis or Louis or
Lewis? Yeah,
Lewis is good. I didn't know how French it was. So,
no, not much. Not much.
Being in Canada, we're well. I'm on the West Coast. So we really could care less about the French part. But even though I'm a quarter Quebecois myself, but
my grandmother was French Canadian.
There you go. See, we got that little connection right there already. So, Erin, what I do here is I talk to people about how they left religious belief behind, if they really had very much of a belief, or the religious influences that might have been in their family or friends, stuff like that, and that their journey away from that sort of thing to becoming the atheist that they are today, an activist or whatever. And I know there's some other stuff that we'll get into as well. Like your books and stuff like that. And anyway, so take us on that journey, and I'll probably jump in with the odd silly question here and there, just so you know.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I was raised technically Catholic. We pretty much only went to church when somebody died, or somebody got married. Kind of the same thing sometimes.
Not even like Christmas or Easter masses or anything like that, no?
My mom used to say that she wanted to go to midnight mass or Christmas mass, and she never really actually did it, like at least not while I was alive. So, every once in a while we would go to like a regular church service. It depended if like the old aunties, things like that, were in town.
I
but for the most part, it was kind of like, I always said that I was Catholic, but I was baptized. I never made it to communion. I have 5 brothers and sisters. Yeah. So I'm the ass that sits in the back while everybody gets up and gets their cracker and wine.
The body of Christ.
Yeah. So basically, when you're the one sitting there, it's like super obvious that you didn't like go through all that stuff. You didn't get to wear like the dress and the veil, which is kind of weird now when you think about it. At least I never really thought about any of like the rituals or the dogma or the things that went along with Catholicism, because I just thought that that's like what everybody was. But once I really understood some of the stuff behind it, like what the cracker and the wine actually meant, it was kind of like, that's kind of gross. Like, that's super gross. And then when you go back and you look at like, what does baptism mean? I was already born screwed up, and so now I got like saved, and I'm like, this is kind of messed up. This whole thing didn't it didn't pan out for me. So very, very young, I started to question basically my religion. And so I know that when we first talked and you said about deconversion, I kind of consider myself always an atheist, even though I didn't identify that way. Because I don't think I ever really believed. Now, I tried to believe because everybody else did. And because if you don't, you're going to go to hell. So there's this whole like guilt trip around it, and, the whole sin thing and all that stuff. And so I tried. I really did try. And I prayed and all those kinds of things. But when you start learning and gaining life experiences, and you start comparing the things that you were taught versus what actually happens in real life, it a lot of it just didn't mesh for me. It didn't make sense. And then when I really got suspicious and skeptical is when I started to ask questions. And once you ask the wrong questions, they just stop answering, or they give you a generic answer. The God works in mysterious ways is one of my favorite ones, because he's kind of a dick.
So, I second that.
So I'm not really, it was really hard for me to buy all of it. But it definitely went along and pretended, just for the sake of like not getting put in a corner, kind of a thing, not getting yelled at and that sort of deal. Christmas presents, that helps, So,
I'm a believer. What's next? Give me that one.
Yeah, totally. I just didn't really buy into it. And I am the last of 6 kids. My family's Irish Catholic. I don't know if that was obvious or not.
By the way, I do love the hair. Just so you
know. Thank you. Sort of my claim of fame. But my mom and dad got married at 17 years old. They were they were both each other's first, so they say. And they had 5 kids right away. So my brothers and sisters are all really, really close to each other. Okay. I'm actually 9 years away from the rest of my siblings because after the 5th kid, all of a sudden birth control.
From the youngest, you're 9 from the youngest?
Oh, I am 9 from my youngest brother. Yeah. Wow. So I am 15 to 9 years younger than the rest of my siblings. So after my youngest brother was born, birth control was no longer so much of an issue. Right. Once your uterus is about to fall out, apparently it's okay. So my parents were very close to getting divorced.
I hate it when that happens, by the way.
I know. I tell you what, man. Frankly, I don't understand how anybody has more than 1 kid because it hurts really bad.
I think my uterus is still on a bus somewhere. I must have.
It could be. But that's good. It's probably safer there than it is here.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So my parents were about to get divorced, and my mom stopped taking birth control. They got together one last time, and that was kind of how I came to be. So by the time I was born, Catholicism was really kind of out the window. And then my mom had gotten divorced. So then, of course, you're immediately excommunicated.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, even though it was absolutely not her choice. So that was another thing that kind of stuck with me is once I heard that story, it was kind of like, well, here you worship this being and, you're supposed to be part of this community that is supposed to be a support system for you. And then when you really need them, they sort of tell you to,
Yeah, F off.
Yeah. So nothing ever really matched up for me. It was just a matter of not wanting to be like ostracized, not wanting to be rejected by my friends and things like that. And of course, nobody wants to seem weird. Everybody insists that God exists or a higher power is there. And so when you go against that grain, you start to question it. People aren't nice all of a sudden.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I pretended for a really long time.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Nacha, hey, Casey, hey, Mark. Just a bunch of people just popped in. Yeah, I mean, I sort of was the same way when I was growing up because I was raised. The funny thing is with me, I was adopted because I was an accident, right? But I've met my biological family. Yeah, I met them back in 2000. So, and we're actually pretty close now. So. And they explained everything about how it all happened, and my birth father's mother was a staunch Catholic, and it was taboo to have kids out of wedlock, so they were scared and didn't know what to do, and so they figured putting me up for adoption was the best thing. But I was raised Jewish, so.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
So so I had the whole Hebrew school thing and a bar mitzvah and all that shit. But like I've told other folks that I've spoken with, I always had the questions. I was like, how can that possibly be? If you cut somebody's hair, they lose their strength. Like, I don't get that. That seems like a mythology.
In a cartoon, maybe?
Yeah. Right? Or like, it just sounds like Greek mythology or Roman mythology. It sounds like something out of a story like that. Right. And giants aren't real. Come on, people, like, we went through all those stories, right, that they would teach us. And I finally got kicked out of Hebrew school. I was asking too many questions. So, but and I remember just not really believing, but thought maybe I should. The whole what do they call that? The what's the name of that? Just in case, believe just in case. What do they call that?
Oh, Pascal's wager.
That's it, Pascal's wager, right? So I kind of that was always in the back of my mind, like, and I pretended like you, just so that I wasn't ostracized by the community, sort of thing, right? So it's not as common in Judaism for people to be shunned if they're non-believers.
Well, in Judaism, do you have hell?
No.
Oh, see, that's helpful. That's helpful.
There is no hell in the Old Testament, and that's
what
Judaism's based on, right? So
yeah.
That was an addition after, I think, the Nicene Council and all that shit. They decided to add it. Constantine, I think, was the one that brought that in. But and they ripped that right off of, like, the whole Valhalla, the whole hell from Greek mythology, and they kind of mash everything together and made up their own version of it. So, and that's what I always try to talk to apologists about. like that sort of thing. It's like, dude, you know, this stuff's all made up, right? The whole hell thing. Don't even worry about that. You're fine. Read the Old Testament. You're gold.
Nice.
You know, so
hell was one of those things that really bothered me as a kid because it just seemed really screwed up. And then when you ask, you know, a Sunday school teacher or something like that, well, what happens to kids, you know, in Africa or kids, you know, that are somewhere else that weren't baptized? Are they going to hell? And if they're answering honestly, the answer is yes. And I'm like, but wait, but God is supposed to love everybody and be forgiving. And I'm like, but how do you, but they didn't do anything wrong. Like they didn't know they were doing anything wrong. So how do you send them to hell? And then, you know, I got the spiel a lot about, you know, eat your vegetables because they're starving kids and, you know, wherever. And when I was told to say my prayers at night, my thought was, I'm praying for, you know, a new My Little Pony or Barbie doll, and there's kids that are starving to death. And I'm like, so if God actually grants my prayer, like, did they not pray enough? And so now they're going to starve to death and die. You know, it's kind of like the whole like morality and ethics thing it just never like matched up. It just really kind of, I was like, dude, this guy, he's really like not okay.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I want to praise him and worship him. He sounds like a bully.
He is. He's like, was it Matt Dillahunty said he's like a mob boss.
There you go. One of the first articles that I had published actually is in the Freedom from Religion Foundation's publication called Free Thought Today. And it's an article called The Bible Taught Me That God is a Jerk.
I like it.
Because when you hear the Bible stories and you relate it to reality and how you're taught to be a good person and empathize with other people and things like that, there just is no way to make that consistent with drowning the whole world. You know, and like, I think one of the things that I wrote especially about was it wasn't just the people that he drowned. Right. He didn't just he saved Noah's family and 2 of every animal except the unicorns, I guess. And, but he killed all the other animals. And I'm like, what did they do?
And all the fish, because once the fresh and salt water mixed, bye-bye. Except for sharks, maybe, and jellyfish.
Oh, yeah. So I never did think about the fish. I guess I assumed they were all in water.
Well, how the fuck did the sloths from South America get all the way over there?
Yeah, for reals. For real.
Considering they move something like 6 yards in an hour, they move like that would take them forever to get there.
So I'm kind of relieved that you just swore. We're allowed to swear.
Oh yeah.
Oh, perfect.
I'm like,
but you're in Canada, so I don't know if that was just like a thing you get to do.
Well, we have fucking A. we're gold here.
All right.
Yeah, I have no qualms about that. There's actually, I was reading an article in one of them Psychology Today type magazines or something, and they say that people that swear a lot are actually, at least their studies show that they're usually more intelligent people.
Oh, perfect.
So there you go.
Brilliant.
And the reason we're swearing is because of all the idiots we have to deal with. So.
Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, did you ever like come out and tell your family that you just didn't believe anymore, or?
Fairly recently, when I started to get involved with the Freedom from Religion Foundation, actually about 2 years ago, my son, he's 14 now. I guess it was a couple years ago. He brought home a flyer that said that his entire school had won a free bike. And my first thought was that this must be for charity or something like that. His school was in kind of an affluent area. So I thought this is a weird place for charity. So I was like, well, let me look at it. And I told him, I was like, we'll probably end up donating it because I was like, this program isn't going to be meant for you. You just got a new bike 3 months ago for Christmas. So, so I look at the flyer and all it says is Destiny. And I'm thinking, what the hell is Destiny? So I Google it and it's a church and it's a big church.
Oh.
So I messaged them on Facebook and I asked them because it says, every kid gets a bike. You just have to attend this event. So I asked, what's the event about? And of course they think I'm a member and they think I'm all excited about the free bike and I'm not. I'm kind of pissed. And because I'm like, well, I'm not going to, first off, when my kid finds out that it's a church service, he's not going to want to go. And when all the other kids find out that he's the only kid that's not getting a bike, that's going to create a social issue for him. So I had followed FFRF on Facebook, and I messaged them, and they ended up sending the district a letter. And they got it pulled. They stopped promoting that, that event. And so I ended up becoming a member of FFRF. And then it just so happened I was asked to write for Secular Nation, Atheist Alliance of America's publication. And I ended up submitting something to Free Thought Today and kind of meeting the editor via email, and ended up going to the convention last year. And so,
awesome.
So I've ended up getting pretty involved with the Freedom from Religion Foundation. So it's probably one of my favorite atheist organizations right now, just because I like what they do. I mean, there are a lot of lawyers. So they're interesting people.
Yeah. Well, I actually watch quite a few of their YouTube shows that they put on. I really like them as well. And I do plan on some point, or at some point, I want to have Dan Barker on here. I would like to have Gail on here, Andrew, have them all sort of tell their little stories as well, because I know Dan's would be fantastic for sure. And I have people that can make that happen for me. So really cool.
I think in November, I don't know that it's officially announced, but I believe that he's going to be making an appearance here in Sacramento, Northern California. And so I might have a chance to meet him. Became pretty good friends with the local chapter's president. She ended up actually being the contributing editor for my latest book. So
excellent. That's awesome. Oh, hi, Courtney. My godless mom just showed up.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
I just met
her and I have some tentative plans. Well, it's going to happen at some point, but there's just some little bumps in the road right now. But her and I are going to do a podcast together where we talk to other people as well about stuff like that. So
awesome. I just wrote a guest post for her a couple days ago.
Did you? Yeah. Courtney's awesome.
She seems pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh, well, it would take me, I mean, if we wanted to hang out, of course, I'd have to jump in the car and drive into the interior, but that would 4 hours and I'd be there and we'd be drinking beer. And Courtney says, thanks for the post, by the way.
Oh yeah, there you
go. She said, it'll happen. Our podcast will happen at some point. Anyway, so shit, now I forgot what I was going to ask you. This happens like every single one of my shows. I have this idea, I get slightly sidetracked, and then I'm like, shit, what was it going to be? Oh, that's right. Your books, you've got 3 that you've got written already, correct?
Yes.
3, and there's one more in the works.
No, not right now. I just published the last one in August.
Oh, okay, I get it now.
Yeah, I did a podcast yesterday with another independent writer, and that was the same thing he said. He says, "What are you doing now?" I was like, taking a breather. I just wrote a book, and I think it took about 7 months. So yeah, I need just a little bit of a break, and then we'll see. Yeah.
I couldn't even begin to fathom what the hell I'd want to put in a book, even if I wanted to write one.
I had been thinking about it for a long time, and I've always been a really strong reader. I read a lot. So I'd always wanted to write a book. My first passion was fiction. Stephen King was really kind of like my first crush, right, in 7th grade. It was my first book.
Wow.
Yeah.
When it came out, you were in 7th grade?
No, it had been out for a while, I think. I found it in the school library. And I started reading it, and it scared the living shit out of me. And of course, I kept reading, and then it was kind of, I've pretty much read everything except for the baseball stuff.
Right. I wonder what it is about. I wonder what it is about us, how we want to be scared, even though we like, you read or you're watching something that's freaky, and you're like, you want to look away, but it's kind of like that train wreck thing where you just want to watch it and get even more scared. Like I always wondered why we do that to ourselves. I don't get scared at much anymore. But
yeah, that's kind of the trick now, is that it's like once you build up a tolerance to it, it takes a while to find something else that's going to get you.
Yeah.
But no, I always read a lot, and then I started as a adult entertainer at 18.
Wow.
And after I was thinking you already knew that.
I did.
Oh, okay, good. I was trying to shock you.
I was just going to let you bring it up. I didn't want to be the guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was waiting. I was like, is this like awkward or not? Okay. So yeah, so I started as a stripper at 18.
I dated 2 in my time, so.
You what?
I've dated 2 strippers in my time, so.
Oh, okay.
Totally cool.
No, past tense, right?
Mm-hmm. The last one probably, and she wasn't a stripper anymore, although she ran with her stripper friends and stuff. She ran a charity where they would strip for breast cancer, and they raised a shit ton of money. Yeah. One year they did over $10,000, which I was just like, what? That's amazing. I didn't know drunk guys that want to see boobs had that much cash. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, they can find it.
Oh yeah, they will. Yeah.
Yeah, they figure it out. It's like gambling, kind of.
Yeah,
you don't ever win anything ever. So, yeah, but after even just a few years, I had thought that I might have a few stories in me. And then the farther I got along in it, I was like, God, I should write a book. Me and 300 of my friends are like, I should write a book. And finally, around 2012, I think, is when I started to actually do it. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and put this down. And part of my inspiration came from somebody, it was actually inspired by religion, although I didn't realize how far deep I would get into the atheist community and things like that at the time. But somebody had recommended a book by a lady out of Southern California who had been a dancer, and now runs a Christian outreach group. And all I had to do was look at the summary, right? And the summary of the book was, I was a drug addict and a prostitute and, beat up and abused. And, everybody in this industry is awful. And, Jesus, I finally found Jesus, and, he showed me the path. And I found out that, this was God's way of teaching. And I'm like, fuck all this. This is ridiculous. First of all, not all strippers are freaking drug addicts or prostitutes. In fact, the vast majority of strippers are not prostitutes. This is sort of the whole point, right? I mean, that's the whole concept of it, is to not do that. So it's like way too much work, Yeah. So I thought, you know what, I need to put something else out here. I got tired of, seeing strippers on Dr. Phil, and all that kind of stuff. Phil. Yeah, where he's like, oh, you need to do better, and this is blah blah blah, and you're hurting and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's great, but what about the girls that aren't? Like, because there really are girls that work their way through college. There really are girls that do this because it frees up a lot of time to do other things and stuff like that. And it just really irritated me to the point where I started writing. And so my first book is really my memoirs. So it's really just a story of my life. And so I talk about, being bullied as a kid, always feeling ugly, freckles and red hair, not really like cherished in, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. Freshman.
Wow, that's too bad. My entire life, I've always had a thing for the redheads. So
yeah, everybody says that. Everybody says that, but nobody says that when they're in middle school. That's all I'm going to say. I don't know where the hell those guys were, but yeah, they certainly didn't know me. So I had a bit of a complex, man. I felt really bad about myself, and dancing, being able to take that step, kind of like made me appreciate myself. It made me understand that, looks are a lot of times, or at least attractiveness, is more about confidence than it is anything else. Yeah. It's more about how you feel about yourself.
Totally agree with you.
So that
increases, or not increases, it enhances your looks, I think, when the confidence comes out of you at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. If I saw something with celebrities, a lot of famous women without makeup on and stuff like that. And you look at them and they're like, whoa, they're hideous, or they're just like drop dead average, and then all of a sudden you give that air of confidence, that personality, and a little bit of makeup, and all of a sudden they're just, they're gorgeous. So that was kind of part of my, that was part of the draw of it for me. But but yeah, I didn't understand at the time that it really was spurred on by religion. I thought that I wanted to kind of bust the stereotypes and things like that.
Right. That's cool. But so in your first book, which you're considering to be your memoirs, stuff like that,
it's literally called that.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, it's almost as if you're putting your thoughts on paper, anyways.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but was there any religious entanglement with that first book? Like, did you bring it up at all? Because I haven't read it.
Oh, bring up religion. I'm trying to think. It was published back in 2014 is when I published actually the first edition, and then I changed a couple of things and published it again. I put up there was a little bit, but not so much. It was more about basically my life and, like I said, trying to get rid of the stereotypes, or at least present a different narrative. That was my intention with the first book. My second book, which is a lot shorter, was kind of menaced my homage when I quit dancing. It was sort of my little present to the girls that were going to be, coming behind me. And I do bring it up a little bit in there as far as talking about, making choices for yourself, living for yourself. But in that book, I really push a lot of not just being confident, but how to avoid some of the really scary stuff, because there's a lot of assholes and there's a lot of ways to get sucked into drugs and prostitution. That stuff happens. There's a lot of people that prey on girls that way. Yep. And
I had to deal with some of them myself, just dating a couple, and I got into a little bit of the behind the scenes stuff too. And yeah, I had to knock a couple guys out back in the day. So.
You really have to be very self-aware, and you have to have a good head on your shoulder. So I talk a lot about not getting fucked up at work. Go ahead and party, but don't do it in a situation where you need to be able to think on your feet sometimes.
Right.
Or in someone's lap. You need to be able to be prepared for any situation. And that was kind of what my deal was. But I write it from a funny point of view. Like my first, one of my first chapters is called Hooker and Strippers Clothing, where I talk about, if you want to be, because I have no problem with prostitution per se. I have an issue.
Neither.
I
don't either. I think it's
I
want to do.
Yeah, my problem with prostitution is in the strip club, is having to compete with it. That was where I had a problem with it, because it was like, well, this isn't the place for that. Number one, the clubs, at least here, can get in a lot of trouble.
Yes.
And
here too.
Okay. I've heard some things about Canadian strip clubs. Actually.
I mean, they're not supposed to within the club.
Of course. Yeah.
Of course it happens, but the cops aren't hanging around going, "Hey, you know." But if they're around, and I've seen people get busted for it, so it does happen from time to time.
Yeah, absolutely. So my real beef with it is just having to compete with it. If you're going in there and your intention is to be a dancer and you're competing with somebody who's giving blowjobs in the VIP, obviously, you're not going to be like the most popular dancer. So that tends to be that was really my issue with it. And then my third book is where I really kind of take on religion, and then also things like misinformation and like conspiracy theories.
Oh my goodness!
Alternative. That was fun, actually. I wrote because I didn't really know a lot about how that stuff spread, and so I researched it, and then I wrote my own stripper conspiracy, which was
really
yeah, which was really quite fun.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Stripper conspiracy.
Well, so
go into that a little bit. I gotta
debunk in my book, each chapter in my new book. I kind of relate it back to a stripper story, right? Because that's really kind of my only shtick. I dropped out of college, right shortly after I started dancing, and was like, well, what do I need college for?
Yeah,
I'm going to be a millionaire, obviously. That didn't happen today. But so everything I write about relates back to dancing. And so when I wanted to write about how to not get caught up into conspiracy theories, I start out with a stripper conspiracy theory. So I write about how dancers and I don't want to give it away because I still want to.
Oh, right, yeah, okay. Let's not get too much.
Yeah, I write about,
you guys are gonna have to go buy the book, damn it.
Yeah, it's like stripper Illuminati kind of,
Stripper naughty. Wait.
Yeah, there you go. Illuminati. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Naughty, but spelled N-A-U-G. No, never mind.
So, but that's where I take on like prayer and things like that. And then I also address risk taking, how to, not get caught up in the fear of not doing things, not following your dreams, and
oh, very cool.
So, and definitely, I mean, get naked is a risk. On stage in public, it was it's pretty scary. It's a hard thing to get over. But did a lot of research on neuroscience and psychology and the history of things, like chiropractics was terribly interesting. So my newest book really plays into kind of what I've been active in more recently.
Very cool. Yeah, naked in public, is that what you call it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I'm not allowed in Safeway anymore. So.
Yeah, that'll happen. Happen.
So. I just told him I was sleepwalking.
There you go. Did it work out?
Cereal aisle. There's a naked guy in aisle 6 buying Captain Crunch. Can we get somebody on this?
Do they have Safeways in Canada?
Yep. Oh. Yeah. Right. I know, because when I went down to the U.S. and found a Safeway down there, I was like, "Oh, I didn't even know you guys had Safeways down here." I always thought, because they have a little maple leaf in our version, that it was a Canadian outfit, but apparently not. I was wrong.
Oh, that's funny. Huh.
I was just happy that my points card would work down there.
Oh, really?
I had a Safeway points card, so. So I got a shit ton of junk food. I was down there for, I play a card game. I play 2, actually. Well, 3 now that Matt Dillahunty got me into Keyforge. But, and I went down for a tournament down in, where the hell was it? Anaheim. And we did a big gaming tournament there, and went back to the hotel room with a couple other the YouTubers, because I do this on YouTube for my other channel as well, for the card games. And then we went to Safeway, and we had like buggies full of like junk food. It was like bags of Doritos and Twinkies and you name it. And I said, "Oh, I wonder if my points card will work here." And she goes, "I don't know. Let's try it." And tried it there, and I ended up with something like 18 million points because of all the crap we bought, right? So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. But all 3 of us that went in that night were all Canadian, so we were like, holy shit, we didn't even know you guys had Safeways here. But yeah, it was kind of cool. All those extra points, man. And they're not Canadian points, they're American points, so they're worth more.
Oh, really?
No, I'm kidding. Oh. No, I'm kidding, because your guys' dollar is worth more than ours. That's why I say that. So.
Yeah, we here in America, we're pretty much about us. So
yeah,
we don't tend to learn about other countries.
Yeah, I found that kind of weird, actually. But I'm sure you learn stuff about Canada. Well, actually, that might not be true, because when I lived in Israel, I lived with a bunch of Americans. There was about 8 or 9 of us that were Canadian, and everyone else was American. And some guy in Florida asked me if I had a pet penguin. And I'm like,
why would you have a penguin?
Hey?
Why would you have a penguin in Canada?
Because I'm in Canada. And, as soon as you cross the border, snow, right? That's what.
Well, yeah. Okay. All right.
It's not true, but that's what a lot of people think.
Yeah, I guess not. No, the only thing actually I ever really assumed about Canadians is that they're really nice. I got to say, I have yet to meet a Canadian who's just a real dick.
I'll introduce you to my friend Mikey.
Yeah, I'm sure they exist. I just haven't actually personally met one yet. So I met a guy years ago in the club who was just super sweet. He was just so nice. And he told me he was from Texas. And I was like, that's fucking weird. Really? You're from Texas? And he goes, well, actually, I'm from Canada. And I was like, that explains it. I'm like, how do you like Texas? He's like, people are mean.
I loved Austin when I was down there.
No, see, I think Austin is the exception. So actually one of the only, I told you I'm not very experienced with YouTube. I do follow a YouTube yoga lady, and she's from Austin. So yeah, she seems really nice, but yeah, other than that, I don't know.
Yoga lady. So do you do yoga yourself?
I haven't in a while. I actually only quit dancing very recently. So I got back once I stopped dancing. I stopped having a whole bunch of back problems, and so I got back into the gym. And so I've been doing a lot of like strength training and weights and stuff like that.
Great, cool.
So I actually have not done yoga in a while, but I did really enjoy her. She was a little fruity, but that's okay.
A little fruity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they talk about your energy and your all this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Yoga had a lot of benefits outside of that that kind of deal.
The woo. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
My sister was into it for a little while too, and she said that's one of the things, because even though she's religious, she's married to a guy who wants to be a rabbi, for crying out loud. But she said that one of the things that drove her away from the whole yoga thing was all the kind of wooey pyramid shit that was involved with it.
Yeah, I tend to have some anxiety sometimes, and one thing I really noticed was just stopping and paying attention was really like kind of stopped the crazy hamster on the wheel in my head, and so that was one of the things that I really liked about yoga. Was just, I mean, there's the stretching, and I could never do any of the weird like poses. I can't, stand on my big toe or nothing, but the breathing actually helps. It really, once I started to do some of the research about like neuroscience and psychology for this book, I understood that that really actually does work. It does calm your brain. So they can talk about spirituality and your chakra or your auras or whatever the hell it is. But the reality is that it does help. It's the same thing with meditation, where it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be a spiritual type thing. It can be, just taking a second to concentrate on, stuff that's not freaking you out. So I'm really good at just going down the rabbit hole in my own head and,
yeah.
In the middle of a panic attack. So, yeah.
Oh man. I do the same. I'll think about something and I go, Jesus, do I really want to think about this right now? And then like you're saying, right down the rabbit hole. And I usually come out, scared. Sometimes we'll say,
yeah.
Yeah, that really didn't need to go there, brain. Come on, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, I tend to go like worst case scenario. That's pretty much when I go to plan something. I really tend to go, I go like catastrophic.
Well, it's not a bad thing, because at least you're kind of prepared.
Definitely. When it comes to planning, it can help, but you have to be able to walk yourself back from it. And I noticed that like meditation, or what they call mindfulness, really helps. To be able to kind of take a deep breath, literally, and that actually does have a physical, it really does have a physical or a physiological impact on your brain. So, but there was quite a lot of stuff I learned researching the different chapters in my book. Like I said, about homeopathy, chiropractics was actually quite eye-opening for me. I knew that it was crap. I didn't know that it was based on a ghost story.
What? Really?
It is
news to me.
It really is.
Aisha Miles says that yoga and Pilates are fantastic for anxiety.
Yeah, I really think they are. Pilates is probably better for your ass. But it helps, honestly. Just taking the focus off of whatever is freaking you out, I think just makes a big difference. So, but I wish I could remember the lady from Austin, because she was pretty awesome. I really liked her a lot. So
yeah. Well, speaking of good for the ass, I probably should get into Pilates, because if I don't, mine's just going to start taking over my apartment. So.
Well,
not really.
Big asses are all the rage.
Apparently. I just think mine just starts. It looks old now. That's the problem. It's just not what it used to be.
Yeah, there's not really a lot you can do about that. But butt injections and implants seem to have taken over. At least in the strip club, it was kind of it was weird. So, and it made me wonder if that's what people thought about fake boobs when they first came out. But fake butts are really weird.
I can't even imagine. Like, I know that they are a thing.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine with fake boobs. I almost bought a pair myself. So
yeah, I have actually. They're awesome. They're seriously like my favorite purchase ever.
Well, I wanted a pair too.
Weird. It's just weird that they started out with implants, and I actually write about somebody. The first way that they started was implants, and I worked with a lady who went to Mexico to get her butt implants, and they were actually breast implants. So they moved just like breast implants.
In the butt? Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, independently of each other.
Oh.
So it was really weird to see, and it was really obvious. Now they do like injections. So they just kind of get and then they just get crazy with the injections. They just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it sort of doesn't go along with the rest of the body. It's odd.
Yeah, they look weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you keep up with the injections, you're not going to be able to get in your car. Okay, so let's calm
down.
Right?
Yeah. There's a few rap songs about that, I'm pretty sure.
Well, what's their first one ever? I like big butts and I cannot lie. Right?
Yeah, but those were natural back in the day.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's true too.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody just seems to want to have everything bigger now. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Grotesque. That's a good word.
Oh, it is.
Suddenly you're Nicki Minaj.
I wonder if that's where that came from now, because now I'm wondering, well, how many times have I been fooled? Only the really good ones are you can't tell. But honestly, man, if you like weight training, strength training, like that's a lot what I do is like weighted squats and things like that. And you can actually build that up naturally. So it just seems like a lot of money for something you could do on your own.
My moderator extraordinaire, Inquisitive Quandary, just put in the chat. I always post my PayPal. Neil needs new boobs.
Nice.
Thanks. Thank you.
All right.
Oh, I was trying to do a joke earlier, but it kind of fell. But I wanted to buy some new boobs myself, right? So then I put them up by my door before I leave every morning. I can give them a squeeze and go to work. Right?
Definitely, they're like stress balls. They work for me. Yeah. That is something that's also frowned upon outside of the strip club is, getting stressed out and feeling yourself up, being like, oh.
What's that, right? They're like stress balls with nipples.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the nipples help, though. They make it much more interesting. Leads to other things, though. You start getting into there, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, that will get you thrown out of a Safeway.
Oh, yeah, especially when you're naked and buying Captain Crunch.
For sure. I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't get thrown out of it. I might get followed out of the Safeway.
I got run over. So there you go. It's like, please don't come back.
Yeah.
But it's embarrassing getting run over by a shopping cart. Well, ours here, you've seen the ones that have the wonky wheels, where you push. There's one that have a wonky wheel that.
Yeah.
Every one of them up here has those. I think
that might be why.
They make them that way. I don't know. They try to drive us Canadians crazy, but we're so calm and it's okay.
What is that? Is it like the cold? It just keeps you docile.
I think it's all the shivering, so we just don't have any energy left.
For real. Yeah, it's just taking blood away from your brain. You don't have enough.
Yeah. I mean, it's still warm here, and it's September, like almost the end of September. We finally got some rain. Where I'm from, which is Vancouver, which is the West Coast, you can't put Vancouver in the same category as the rest of Canada, because we basically get like 1/100th of the snow that the rest of Canada gets. So they're saying this year we might get a little bit. Last year we got, I think, 4 inches in total, and that was over 3 days. And yeah, it doesn't really snow here very often, but every 10 to 12 years, we get this massive dump that like comes up to my waist. And I'm like, holy fucking shit, this is like East Coast crap. What's going on here? But that's because of the Pacific. So we're basically the same kind of weather as Seattle. So a lot of rain.
That's what I was thinking. It was close. I had a sister that I'm in Northern California, and so I grew up. I was originally from Orange County, Southern California, like where Disneyland is on the West Coast, and I moved up to the foothills when I was around 10, and I moved to like a really small town. It's about 1,500 people, and we got snow, but we didn't really know what to do. Yeah. So we got snowed in because it's in the, it was the foothills of the Sierra Nevada, right? Okay. So, Tahoe, Sierra Nevada mountains. So we were just in the foothills. So I think we were at right around 1,800, 2,000 feet. So we'd get a little bit of snow every year, but my mom and I had no idea what the hell we were doing. So we'd get snowed in every year and lose power and like almost die. So it was an adventure. So
yeah, it's crazy because we have a lot of like Vancouver's very well known for a lot of foreigners that move here, and many of them have never seen snow. And watching them try to drive in the snow is actually pretty entertaining in and of itself.
Yeah, my mom had traded in her. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, you don't know. Yeah. My mom traded in her Thunderbird for a 2-wheel drive Ford Ranger, thinking that she was going to be prepared. And our driveway was kind of steep. And so when it snowed, we were stuck. There was nothing we could do about it. And we were 2 miles into a private road. Mm-hmm. So it didn't get plowed. So we just literally didn't leave the house. There was nothing, we couldn't get out. So,
snow day.
Yes, which was actually kind of cool. I like the snow days. Yeah.
Just go out and build some snowmen, make some snow angels, and you're all good, right?
Yeah, we had almost enough snow to do that kind of thing, but not quite. We were just never really prepared. In like LA, Orange County, we don't really have seasons.
No.
It's it's like 80s. It rains and everybody's like, "What the hell is this?" So it's a little weird.
Hey, Seattle, we got your weather. What the fuck?
Yeah. My sister lived in Seattle for a little while and actually really liked I liked the rain and I liked Seattle as a city itself.
It's a great city.
It was pretty mellow. Yeah.
It's they're literally our sister city, like Seattle and Vancouver, where we might as well be the same fucking place. But yeah, everyone that goes to Seattle and then they come here, they always talk about how similar they are, because it's the coast. So you've got every second restaurant is some form of a seafood restaurant. And now we have quite a large Asian population here where I live. So there's all kinds of Chinese restaurants and sushi bars and you name it. And Asian or Taiwanese fusion places or pho places that have the noodles. And I love all that stuff. So living here is like primo for me because I can go and eat whatever the fuck I want when I want. Which is awesome. And I do that all-you-can-eat sushi, which I don't recommend if you're like me. You walk out there going, oh, my God.
Yeah. Fish.
Shouldn't have had that last fucking salmon roll, damn it. But the good thing about being on the water is you're guaranteed that this sushi is always fresh.
Yeah.
I never eat sushi in landlocked areas because I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, definitely. There's some... that can be dangerous.
Yeah. Well, and never buy sushi at a gas station, people.
What's actually really funny is I have it ended up getting changed, but one of my first stories about taking a risk had to do with gas station sushi.
Oh, really? That's hilarious.
So, but ended up altering it a little bit for the sake of clarity. But that was a running joke between me and my editor for a while, was the gas station sushi. So recently I was brave enough to try it from the grocery store. And actually it wasn't that bad. And it was pretty good. It worked out fine. Stuck with the quick stuff though.
Yeah, well, the grocery stores will at least give you something that was made that day. And usually they'll take it away if it doesn't sell, and they won't continue to sell it. Except maybe Walmart, because I bought some sushi at Walmart one time. And it was like,
Yeah.
I'm like eating 2 rolls. And I'm like, nope. Throw it in the garbage. Go out to the actual sushi place. And I'm sorry, Theo, but sushi counts as a meal if you do the all you can eat. Trust me.
Oh yeah, I usually stuff myself on sushi for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But I'll get the, because carbs are bad, right? So I always get the light rice, so then I can eat more.
Well, brown rice is better for you apparently, but
yeah, they don't. At least the place close to my house doesn't. But that's kind of the cool thing about California. There's lots of. I mean, we have everything all over the place.
Oh,
We did an Armenian restaurant a couple weeks ago, and that was really good. Although funny, they were playing Christian music. And it was almost like disguised as pop music. So it took me a minute. Like we'd already sat down and ordered, and I'm listening, and I'm like, this is okay. So I knew it was terrible, but now I'm actually listening to the words. And my kid pointed out, he was like, this is Christian music. I was like, oh, it was really bad. And
let's go.
Yeah. We ended up staying. The food was excellent. The food was really, really good. It was definitely authentic, but yeah, it was bad. The music was terrible. And then it started to repeat. So there was only 12 songs or 10 songs.
And then they loop it.
Oh my God, I already heard this. Yeah. So we're going to go next time. But I would definitely eat there again. We have a lot of different, there's a lot of different influences here.
Sure.
Most Americans actually like immigrants. They really bring a lot of good food.
Well, sure. I mean, it's stuff that we're not used to having here, right?
Yeah.
So, and I love it all, man. I'd become a foodie just to travel the globe and try everything.
For the most part, I started out pretty picky, and I actually I retired from dancing officially 4 times. And one of the first times, actually, I guess it was my second time, was after I graduated from culinary school. So I actually am a classically trained pastry chef.
Oh, wow.
So I learned a lot about food, although definitely from the dessert side, but I've worked in a lot of restaurants. And so I'm pretty good at picking out when, you probably shouldn't be eating something like sushi at the gas station is always it's a good way to ruin your trip. But yeah, no, so I got to try out a lot of stuff there. My school was connected to the advanced savory course. And so for lunches, each side would make, kind of put out what they were working on. And so we got to try a lot of stuff. The problem is that I was only 24. And so I was still really picky. So there's a lot of stuff I wouldn't eat. Sea urchin and oxtail and a lot of weird shit. Wouldn't touch.
Have you tried sea urchin since? Because it's terrible.
It looks terrible. I was like, why the fuck would anybody eat this? What's the point? Just leave it alone. Let it do its thing where it is. There's other shit to eat.
I don't want to eat pointy things. But it's the inside, that yellow. I tried.
Yeah, no, I didn't even get there. But I do kind of. That's one thing I do regret is that I was so picky. I didn't try as much stuff as I should have, for sure. I passed up an opportunity to try a lot of things that I wouldn't get anywhere else, or that would cost a freaking fortune. So by some really, really talented chefs, master chefs. So,
well. It's funny. I went through a period where I'll eat anything. The weirder it looks, the more I want to try it, which is how I discovered how fucking awesome. I don't know if you eat dim sum, but the chicken feet, nobody would eat them. And I tried them.
Yeah. Have you ever had chickens?
Huh? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
After seeing what they stepped in, you felt okay eating their feet.
Yeah, but they're cleaned and washed and cooked. And man, they're delicious. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I don't know.
Now I'm craving them. God damn it.
Chicken's feet?
Yeah, they're so good.
Yeah, I'm so good.
That's the way I used to feel. Then I got drunk. Really? And I tried them. Yeah. Drunk. Yeah, we had been up all night because dim sum's a morning thing, right? So we had been up all night and I was still kind of half corked. So I'm like, hey, let's go for dim sum. I'm fucking starving. And they bring out the little bamboo things and we're eating everything. We ordered everything on the menu. And my friend Chris ordered up the chicken feet because he'd eaten them before and he really likes them. And I'm like, oh, it's gross. And I'm like, dude, come on, you're drunk. You can do anything you want now. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And I tried one. And at first bite, I'm like, that's weird taste. And he goes, give it a second. And I took another bite and I'm like, wow, this is really fucking good. And I started eating all of them. It's like, hey, save some for me. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure I could get that drunk. If I do it, I'm probably not eating anything. Yeah.
Well, because like, I've worked with chickens, so I get that whole, because all they really do is walk around in their own feces, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
But
they're gross. But that was, when we moved up to the country, that's one of the first things my mom did was get chickens. And yeah, it was, I hated them. I hated every single one of them. And she got to the point where she couldn't eat chicken anymore, especially if it was on the bone, because they were like her pets. And I'm like, they're walking balls of meat. If there was anything, if we want to talk about intelligent design, if there was anything that was designed to be eaten, I think it was a damn chicken.
It's a chicken.
Yeah, they're gross. They peck each other if they get like stuck. No, they're horrible.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think they're kind of funny, actually. I used to have I worked with them when I lived in Israel, and we'd have to go into the room, and they're all on the floor, and you got to reach in and grab 2 stacks, like 3 or 4 of them at a time with each hand, and then you flip them upside down. And of course, they make you wear raincoats, because literally when you flip these things upside down, poop flies out of them straight up in the air, so you get covered. But I had a herd of chickens that would follow me around everywhere I went. Like I was like the chicken fucking savior or something. And you turn around and you go,
I've never grabbed a chicken ever.
Oh,
never.
Part of my job, but you walk in that room and you go up, and they all look up at you like this.
Yeah, it's because they're stupid.
Yeah. There's an old saying, I think, where they say that if you can get a chicken to stare straight up in the sky, they will drown if it rains. So I don't know what that is.
Yeah, that doesn't. Like I said, I'm pretty sure they're meant for food. They've been evolved to be eaten.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm thinking of the one from the movie, with the little Hawaiian girl with the rock in it. Moana.
Oh, okay. I've never seen
chicken in Moana.
Mm-hmm.
So he steals the entire movie.
I don't think I've ever seen that movie.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, you gotta watch it. It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I mean, if you like animation and stuff like the Pixar style, it's really good.
Now that my kid is out of it, I'm pretty much over it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I missed is SpongeBob. I did really enjoy SpongeBob, but other than that, I'm over it. So.
SpongeBob, according to the creators of SpongeBob, they say that it's actually geared for adults as well that understand the humor, right?
Oh, sometimes, yeah. There's definitely some of that. It was part of what kept me sane. Once we, yeah, I was never really into the kids' movies.
Oh, see, I wanted to be an animator at one point, and I went to art school, and like you, I also went to culinary school.
Oh.
Yeah, up here in Langara, and I worked in 4-star restaurants for quite a while as a sous chef and whatnot. So yeah, then I got sick of cooking, so I got out of that, and now I ended up in the environmental industry, and I'm a lab technician because I also did chemistry for an environmental company called GFL, and I taste oil tastes terrible, but I test oil for PCB contamination, for halogen contamination, whatever, yttrium, vanadium, because we ship it all down to the US, so we put it on rail cars. It's all waste oil, of course. It comes in, and then we process it through filterage, and then we send it out for re-recycling, or re-refining, I should say. And I do the same for antifreeze as well. Okay. So
question for you then, especially because you just mentioned where you work, what do they think about your atheism? Do you get any pushback?
They don't care. As a matter of fact, my boss likes my little sticker, my branding sticker that I have, and he loved it, and he's like, "Give me one." He's kind of a doubting his own faith, anyways. But like I gave him one of these, and he's got it on the wall behind him. So yeah, they don't care. In Canada's quite secular, but there's an influx of religious people trying to get a bit more hold on our government, just like what's going on for you guys.
Yeah.
But for the most part, Canada's fairly secular. Even though a lot of Canadians, like you guys, often have to deal with these people that say, well, America was founded as a Christian nation, which it wasn't.
Yeah, no. I'm actually in the middle of reading Andrew Seidel, one of the top lawyers for FFRF, and he wrote a whole book about that. So
I have it on here.
Yeah, so I'm reading. You know what? I have Stephen King's new one on my Audible, but I actually bought Andrew's book hard copy. So
I want to buy a hard copy.
Yeah,
but find it.
Yeah, no, I'm learning a lot more about that. But I just started a new job as an office manager, and I'm really only going to be working for one guy. It's just a small little office, and I didn't tell them about certainly my job before. I'm not going to put that on my resume. My resume was probably my best piece of writing, most creative anyway. And yeah, I'm terrified about that, about them finding out what I do.
Really?
Well, the person that's training me right now is kind of older, and she's not atheist, but she's definitely agnostic. But she told me that the guy whose company it is, she thinks he's Catholic. And I'm like, okay, so I really need to like make myself indispensable before he figures out that I'm a stripper and an atheist activist. So I need to make sure that he really needs me.
Yeah, you got to get in his good graces first, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh, I already have so far that way, but yeah, no, I got to make sure that because I mean, not joking at all. I am afraid to tell people.
Really?
Yeah, my family. When I told them about, part of what I was writing about and that I wrote for the FFRF and things like that, one of them told me, I'm going to be sorry. I'm going to go to hell. I'm going to lose a lot of friends. I have lost friends as coming out openly atheist. Yeah. So it scares me, especially in a professional setting, because in California, they can just fire you for anything.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Or
they can make up a reason and fire you for a completely different reason.
Yeah, absolutely. It's called right to work, which is really right to fire you.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it absolutely scares me. At least here, I'm not really online. I'm open about it, but definitely not so much. But I have my own, merch page. If you go on my,
actually IQ's been posting all your links.
Yeah, no, I saw that.
Your Patreon, I'm not sure.
I finally bought my own shirts. So, although it's
cool. That's cool.
So,
okay, I need one of those. Do they come in black?
Yeah, they come in everything. So it was my editor that actually set it up online. I didn't even know you could do that. And once we came up with the logo, I have a really great graphics guy, and he came up with the logo. And she was like, "Yeah, we can print it on just about anything." So the link is on my website. On the
there you go. And there's a link to her website in the description box below, guys, and her Twitter. I forgot to throw her Patreon in there, but IQ's been whoring it out.
Yeah, no, I've been seeing it when I remember to look over.
Yeah, he'll probably pop into the after party, so you'll get to say hello and give him a big virtual hug for it. Anyways,
okay,
there you go. He just popped your website again.
Yeah,
and that actually, I've been having so much fun talking with you, Aaron, that I completely just realized that we blew past the hour, my usual hour time. That's okay. That's okay, man. I think what we'll do now is we'll shut this stream down, and I'll give you a new link, and we'll jump into an after party.
Okay.
All right. And Aaron, man, it's been so much fun talking to you today.
Yeah, it was fun. Like I said, I was, I was a little skeptical, which is kind of my thing.
Nervous?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it, man. Everybody tells me I make people feel at ease, and it's all good, right? Especially when they see me drinking. Then this guy can't.
That's what I'm ready for, actually.
There you go. Well, grab yourself one, because I'll probably go out and have a quick cigarette and a quick pee, because we only rent these. We don't get to keep them.
Okay.
And I'll send you a new link in probably about 10 minutes or so.
Okay, perfect.
And we'll have a few friends in with us and say hello, and we'll see how long we go there.
Okay.
Sound good?
All right. Thank you.
See, being on Pacific time, it's easier for you and I, because it's only 5 now.
Yeah, it's totally only 5. I got a little while before I gotta,
Perfect.
On dinner and everything else. So I'm definitely free.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, man. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you a little better.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. I hope you guys enjoyed the show as much as I think we did. I did. But if you guys want to get involved with the after party, let me know through Twitter. And you can, if you're a member of my Neil's Usual Suspects group, there will be a link there for anyone who would like to join. But remember, we only have room for 4 once Aaron and myself are in the after party, because it's not like Google Hangouts where you could have like 50 billion people in there, but which was terrible anyways. But having 4 people around, it's not so bad. So if you guys would like to join me, let me know. Or join us, I should say, let me know. And until next time, guys, as the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.